All right. Welcome to the live. I think I gotta scoot this way. Nope, I gotta scoot this way. I never know which side is actually, and the cameras, everything's backwards. So it's always a little bit confusing. But, anyways, welcome to the live. My name is Jason Ellinger. If you have not encountered our channel yet, it's incredible. I'm so grateful that you're here today because I really hope that you're going to learn something. I really do, because this lesson changed my life and changed my family tree forever, forever. And that is something to get excited about. Now, we've just gone through a series of building a multi-million dollar company, building a multi-million dollar family business, which is what I do each and every day. And I share that information out in the marketplace. And I'm trying to help as many people as I can who want to do something similar, or even it's not multi-million dollar. Maybe you want to just do a small mom and pop shop and you want to get things rolling. You want to keep things moving smoothly. The principle that I'm going to talk about in this masterclass today, hopefully I'm not speaking too fast. If I'm speaking too fast, let me know and I'll slow down. But I'm very excited about it because this stuff will change your life. And I can guarantee without a shadow of a doubt, because I've experienced it myself, it will make life better. And I know that, like, what do they say? The man with an experience is not at the mercy of a man with an opinion, right? Or the woman, whichever you want it. But anyways, that's what this lesson is about. This lesson is about making your financial life strong, setting the foundation so that the future steps can prosper. We're going to go through steps 1 through 3 today. And I hope that it's very meaningful and very useful. And more than anything, I hope it's practical and you can apply it to your situation right now and it actually makes actionable sense. If you're joining me on here on TikTok, let me know where you're joining from. Guys, I can't read every single comment, but people are going to be my team members are going to be viewing the comments and making sure that I see them on the live stream that we're doing on YouTube. I'm doing a stream on YouTube and on TikTok at the same time. So guys, wherever you're joining from, thank you so much for spending time with us today. And normally, of course, on the TikTok, we're not sharing in this type of like this type of environment. Normally, we're outside showing the ranch, talking about the cattle, talking about business, talking about kids, talking about whatever you guys want to talk about. But today, at this specific time, I always do a live and broadcast out on YouTube, and I help people in some capacity about finance, money, business, and that's everything that we do. So I don't ever teach something that we don't do. I only teach stuff that we actually do, that we have fact-based information from work that we've actually done for, and that we can share without a shadow of a doubt that we know that this information is true. So if you're joining me on YouTube, please let me know in the comment section where you are joining us from. I know there was a good number of people on the last live last week at the same time, the same place, and we had a lot of good interaction there. So if you are joining us, let us know where you're joining from, and let us know if you have a question, and we will try to get to that question as I go through the content today. This content is all about finance, building a strong foundation for your finance, and charging forwards, being able to hit your financial goals. So if you don't know who I am, my name is Jason Ellinger. I own a multi-million dollar company, started it with my wife from a card table in our living room, scaled it to multi-million dollar status, and we've had plenty of bumps and bruises along the way. And this content that I'm teaching you today is one of the foundational principles that we talked about and we learned at the very beginning and started to apply so that we could prosper over time. So if you haven't done so already, please like the live. Please follow on YouTube if you are not a follower already. For those of you who are, I'm so grateful for each and every one of you, and I hope that you prosper as we continue to broadcast content that helps people. All right, so now listen up. You're not just broke. Sorry, you're not broke. So often, you're just out of order, doing things outside of the order that causes prosperity in this area. And so many times I've seen so many people work really hard doing things that they think somebody on TikTok or somebody on YouTube said would work, and it just doesn't work. It doesn't work for them. They get frustrated and discouraged, overwhelmed, and then they quit and they just don't listen to anybody anymore about anything. And on this channel, I talk about God's and grandma's way of handling money. I know if you're acquainted with other financial advisors throughout that are broadcasting tons and tons of information out in the marketplace who are far more popular than I, you're going to hear some of the same stuff. But I hope in my lives, you're going to actually hear a little bit more tangible and practical application for life that causes things, that causes the needle to move in your life. Not just a philosophy, how to do something, but actually, this is how it can work for you. All right, so I want to remind you that you're not broken. You are not a bad and broken human, but you're just doing things out of order, or maybe doing too many things all at one time, and because of that, none of it can prosper. Now, as a business person, I'm the CEO of Taika Translations, and I'm the head of everything basically. That somebody says the CEO is just short for Chief Everything Officer or Cover Everyone's Oversight officer, and sometimes it feels like that. And when you're growing a company or you're growing a family and you're actually you're investing your life into making this thing work, it takes many aspects of you. But if you don't focus specifically on specific tasks and do A before B to get to C, you're going to get all mixed up and you'll be like B, C, X, Y, M, L, and never get where you need to go. And so I hope in this masterclass today that you get some kind of nuggets out of this and things change for you today. All right. Again, if you don't know my name is Jason Ellinger. I'm the CEO of Taika Translations. And if you haven't done so already, please like or subscribe, follow us on the channels, and share the content with somebody who might need help. If you know somebody right now who is terrible with their finances, and they would greatly benefit from a lesson like this, completely free, online, broadcast it, tried and true, it freaking works. Please share this channel with them. Send it to a friend, send it to a coworker, send it to a brother, a sister, a relative who might need help. If they need help with their finances, this is the channel they need to be watching, because we are going to be broadcasting only financial content for the next at least 90 days on this channel. And I'll tell you how to so everything from financial management for home and family and home to financial management for your business. And I do it, and I've done it all, and I'm currently in the process of doing all of it. So that's what I'm sharing. All right. The real problem that most of us have is we don't really have a plan. And that equals to insurmountable financial stress and family stress and relationship stress and drama everywhere in every area of our life. And when we have so much drama, and so much noise coming in from every side, we even feel worse about the plan because we don't have a plan that is working. And we're trying our best. We're trying to focus. We're trying to invest. We're trying to save money. We're trying to pay for kids' college. We're trying to pay off our house early. We're trying to buy a car and hope the transmission went out. And now we didn't have a good plan that works, and all of it stinks. And the problem is, there is a plan that works, and it works every single time. But you've got to do the plan, and you've got to follow it. And I'm going to uncover the first 3 steps of that plan in this series and talk through how to apply them in your situation, in your life. And if you got a specific question about your situation, please stop. Just put it in the chat, and my team will be glad. My amazing team that's always behind the scenes is going to make sure that I see it in front of on my iPad right here. So, guys, the problem is we try too many plans that don't work. The thing that I learned is, when life gets tough, it shows you if you chose the right plan. Because your plan may either cause further stress and fear, or it will undergird you when you go through great struggle and challenges. And if there's one thing that I don't think any human is immune to, it is that we all struggle. Every single one of us. I'd have never met any human anywhere in any walk of life that had no struggles. That is one thing that I know to be sure, that every one of us will struggle. And as such, I'm not saying I believe that I'm just a negative Nancy here, but I do believe that if we put systems in place to cause ourselves to prosper, that even during the times of deep struggle and pain, it will carry us through. I've seen this time and time again in my life. I use the exact same principles, and that's what I'm going to share with you today. So, no plan equals very big financial stress. So, we have to have a plan. I remember I lost a job. I had two children. I was married, had two children. My wife, we were expecting our third child, and I lost my job, and we were scared, and things didn't look good. It was kind of sad. It was kind of scary. Things looked dark, and I really looked around, and I was like, my gosh. For about a week there, my hope was really lost. But as my wife and I talked through those times, and we looked at the situation that we had put ourselves in, and of course, I lost my job for some reasons that had to do with me, some reasons not. We looked at the situation and we said, you know what? In reality, yes, we did lose our income, but because we have implemented a plan that works in the good times and the bad, we're okay and we're going to make it. And that piece was the foundation where I was able to build the future. In that same period, we started our company that we would one day scale to a multi-million dollar level that would bring hundreds of thousands of dollars of income every single year into our home. But it started with, prior to the time that I got let go, having a plan that worked. And so I'm going to share that with you today. Now, three steps. There's a three-step reset for your life. This is the solution. If you only see this slide, if you only watch this part of the video, you need this information. Step one, start an emergency fund. Step two, eliminate all consumer debt. And step three, get a full emergency fund. These three steps, if applied correctly, will change your life. Now, I'll get into exactly what they are and how to apply them in a minute. But if you learn right now to change how you're operating your finances to making these priority as step 1, 2, and 3, it will change your life. Let's get to it. Step 1, save $1,000 ridiculously fast. The amount is not that important, but the amount is $1,000, not less, not more at this time, because most people, in fact, I was counseling with another couple the other day in they were talking through their marriage. We're just having a conversation about their finances at our dinner table, and they were talking through why they could never save any money. And they said, well, I said, so do you actually have $1,000 in the bank? And they're saying, we can never save money. We're having emergency after emergency after emergency in our life, and there is never enough money. I want to go here, and I can't go here. I want to save money for that, for the children. I can't do that. And there's never enough money. And I said, well, do you guys have $1,000 in your bank account right now? Like for an emergency fund, for a baby emergency fund? And they were like, well, no. I was, what? Of course, it's because I have lived so long in this situation where I've been diligent to work the plan. I'm already through the seventh step of this plan. But because I've been there for so long, it is so strange to me to think that somebody might not have $1,000 in the bank in case emergencies come. And when I heard that, of course, I felt a little bit of fear, but then I realized, wait a minute, it's not my life, it's their life. And that might be you today. And if it is you, I really hope you're hearing this message right now, because this could change your life. Baby step 1, that is sometimes the hardest step to do for so many people, is to save $1,000. And you're like, well, $1,000, that's a lot of money. I don't know. I've saved $1,000 in my life. I met people like that. But if you save $1,000, emergencies will stop happening in your life. And if you save $1,000 to keep bad things from happening to you that you don't have money for, it will very likely run Murphy right out the door. He won't visit you anymore because you have money. Murphy visits those people who don't have money. He's constantly standing there knocking on the door. Here's another $250 bill. Here's another $500 something you forgot about. Here's another $300 something here and there, or medical bill or whatever. And it just pops up out of nowhere. But when you stop and you do the very first step, step number one, like humans, we need help with this. We need to know exactly what is step one, two, three, four, five, so that we can get to wealth building. But step number one, often the hardest, because you have to change and I have to change when we do this. And I did have to change and I did change. And because of it, we started to grow incredible wealth. But step number one is save $1,000. And how do we do this? And why is it $1,000? Like I said, the number is not that important. Over the years, I've heard different people recommend different things. But right now, you need to know that this is attainable. So first of all, it's a larger amount of money than most people are used to having sitting in their checking account. Better be in your savings so you don't use it because it's an emergency fund. Second of all, $1,000 protects you from the small emergencies that keep you from being able to move to the next steps. And if you built the discipline of saving at least $1,000, then you can build the discipline that rolls into step number two. Because life is going to happen. You're going to get a flat tire. There's going to be a medical bill, and you're going to break your phone. It's going to happen. I'm sorry. It's going to rain. Grandma said, have some money in case it rains. Well, she was right. It turns out she actually has been through many rainy days. And when those days, when it rained, or those periods of life when they were a little dark, she had a little money set aside. Why? Because she learned how to save. So many of us, my grandparents went through the Great Depression in the United States. And when they were going through the Great Depression, they remember that time in some sense with fondness. And they say, you know what? We didn't even realize that there was so much of a Great Depression going on because we lived kind of the same before and kind of the same during and the same after, because we just handled money well. We worked on our farm. We didn't spend more than we made, and we just kept going. And that's what this changes in you. It changes your heart to understand that, wait a minute, I can actually win. I can win in life. I can win with money. If you can save $1,000, then you can move to the next step and have started to create some momentum in your life. And that's what finance is about. So many people say, well, finance is just about numbers. I have some incredible friends from all over the world, and they say, well, finance is just logical percentages and all of these types of different matrix. Listen, finance has to do with you and me and what's going on in here and what's going on in here. And if we can't align ourselves with what it takes to build at least the very first small muscle, then we have no chance of succeeding long term. Somebody says, well, I need to invest first. I talked to that couple. They're like, well, we'd like to have money just to invest. And I'm like, well, if you don't work through the steps, you're not going to have any money. So you have to work through step number one first. Don't start trying to invest. Don't try to do anything else financially whatsoever except step number one. That is saving $1,000 in a bank account. That's all you need for the baby, tiny, itty bitty starter emergency fund for your family. If you can do this, and if you build the muscle to do this, then your life will appreciate it. How can you even do this? Sell so much stuff the kids think they're next. Sell everything. Sell the couch, sell the Nintendo, sell the PlayStation, sell whatever. Sell your gun. I mean, I love guns too. I'm all about having guns. I really like guns. But if I didn't have an emergency fund and I had a pile of guns, I'd be selling me some guns. Okay? That's how important this is. Maybe not all of them, just like two of them. But the point is, sell so much stuff that the kid thinks they're next, so that all of this money can go straight to building your emergency fund, because it's the most important thing. And I think that is a spiritual thing as well. Like, we don't realize that we need that safety, but we're losing money to credit cards. We're losing money to interest payments. We're constantly getting knocked off guard and constantly not being able to save up and constantly frustrated at our spouse and constantly frustrated in our work because we're feeling like we're not making enough money. We can't make ends meet. We can't save enough, and we're just frustrated. But if you stop and you realize that step number one is just this, it's save $1,000. And you sell everything. You cut up all your credit cards. You pause everything that you're doing. Every financial thing that you don't have to do, pause it so that you can save up this $1,000. Have a garage sale. Sell the stuff that's in your garage and in your second storage building that you have not seen in like 4 years. Drag it out of there, dust it off, shine it up, and sell it. Because you can make $1,000 off of your stuff, put it on eBay, Amazon, I don't care, have a garage sale during the weekend and sell the stuff so that you can pile up $1,000 of cash. There are no excuses to this. Millions upon millions of people using these steps that I'm talking about today have made themselves financially secure because they started with step number one. And step number one is saving $1,000. Sell everything that you possibly can. I even heard people sell all the furniture in their entire house so that they could save up their emergency fund. I'm not against it. It's not something that I would personally do because, anyways, I have $1,000 already, many thousands of dollars already saved. But but you need to go crazy and sell all the stuff that you need to sell so that you can have your emergency fund. If you want to get stronger financially, it's going to take a little sacrifice. It's the smallest step to do, but it's also the hardest step to do because you have to decide if you're going to think differently. All right, there are no excuses. I can't think of an excuse that I would allow myself to believe that would put my family in danger. I want to make sure you heard that. I can't think of an excuse that I would allow myself to believe that would put my family in danger. And if you don't have an emergency fund, you are intentionally, if you're listening to this right now, you are intentionally putting your family in danger if you don't have an emergency fund after hearing this message. Start with step number one, baby emergency fund. Step number two, attack all consumer debt. Americans, we live up to our eyeballs in debt. Gosh, a close family member of mine, they went to the chiropractor the other day. And at the chiropractor, they went through the adjustment. They got the plan. They talked to the administrator there, and she said, "Oh, while we're checking out, why don't you use this 0% credit card that we have to offer?" And my family member was like, "Oh, sure, yeah, sign me up." Picked up the credit card, signed at the bottom, charged it on the credit card, left. When they got home, because they know I talk a lot about finances, they're like, "Well, they got a credit card, paid off this thing." I was like, "You did what?" I got a credit card, paid this bill because 0%. I said, could I take a look at the terms on the credit card, the advertisement that, the what you signed? And they're like, yeah, yeah, here. They showed it to me and I was like, oh, 0% for 3 months. After 3 months, the interest rate goes to 18%. And then every month after that, it goes to 21%. And I was like, oh my gosh. Are you telling me you signed up for a credit card that had 3 months of 0%, and then afterwards you're paying 21% on your money every single month until you paid the thing off? Of course, I was mad. I couldn't be mad at my family member. They didn't think about it. They didn't dig into it. They didn't read all the terms. But you read the terms, you find out very quickly that you're paying an incredible amount of interest. And the crazy thing, so many people don't realize, they say, well, it was zero interest. It's zero interest, but some of it's zero interest for 30 days or 60 days or 90 days. And then it transfers right over to a very hefty interest rate. Or you start off with it, well, it's only 10% interest. Well, if you gave yourself 10% interest from age 20 to age 65, you'd be a multimillionaire. How do you feel about that? On $300 a month. How do you feel about that? And it's unbelievably frustrating when we go into situations and we just aren't aware of the actual impact of the decision that we're making. And so you have to attack all consumer debt and get it out of your life because there is always an interest rate assigned to the product. Well, there's zero interest and excuse me. Well, there's zero interest and I could just and I could just charge it to this card. There's zero interest in it, and I just pay it back in 90 days, and there's no extra fees. Oh my gosh. I don't know how many times I've heard that. If there's zero interest on a purchase, it means that the interest on that money is worked into the price. It's worked into the price of the item. Well, no, it's not because it's the same price without it. Well, it's still worked into the price of the item because or there's a very nefarious plan that they have that's going to be enacted because most people don't pay it off in 90 days and it carries over. Well, what happens when this carries over? Because they know 80% of the people it's going to carry over past 90 days because they didn't really think about it and they bought 12 other items with the same buying methodology. And now we've bought 12 other items. It's all no interest for 90 days. Oh, but we can't pay it all in 90 days because we didn't do a total calculation. And now we're popping into interest payments at the 90-day mark. Boom, 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 boom. 20%, 20%, 30%. I've seen outrageous percentages on some of these buy now, pay later type situations. And when you stop paying that interest to others, it's also kind of like you're making that interest for yourself. When you don't pay out interest, you're kind of making it, right? Okay, I understand the concept. Well, I didn't buy anything, so I didn't get money. I didn't get that interest on the money that that I have, so I'm not really making it. Yes, but if you're not paying it, then you're not paying it, and nobody else gets your money, right? Hopefully, we can agree on that concept. But you attack all consumer debt. Now, how do we do this? I've heard a lot of different methodologies, but this is the method that works. This is the most effective method probably in the history of mankind because thousands and thousands and thousands, I think even millions of people have used this method to become debt free. I am debt free. I haven't had any debt of any kind for the past 20 years. We start with the smallest. We start by listing all of our debts, smallest to largest. We pay the minimum payment on absolutely everything except the smallest item. And after we start paying off that item, after we pay off the very first item, we take the money that we would have been spending on that item and we put it on the next item. If there's 10 debts, we start with the smallest one, and you say, well, why don't we attack the one with the highest interest rate? If we were talking interest rates and we were thinking about that when we got into this consumer debt, then we wouldn't even be having this conversation. If we were even thinking about that when we got into this debt. So I don't care about the interest rate. The point is the behavior. If by now you have managed to save $1,000 and now you are starting to attack your consumer debt, write the smallest on the top, the largest on the bottom, list them out from largest to smallest. I don't care about the interest rate and start paying them off smallest to largest. Interest rates doesn't matter. Well, of course it matters. Okay. I know a lot of my European friends and people across the pond, they have a different perspective about this. And I'm talking to people in the United States. I'm not talking to people outside of the United States. I'm talking about in the United States. So, smallest to largest minimum payments on everything and destroy one debt at a time. Attack it with a vengeance. Every red cent that you have left over in your income every single month goes to attacking the debt. Well, I want to go on a $12,000 vacation. Well, not if you want to get out of debt. Which one do you want to do more? Do you want to be in debt and pay all of these interest payments for the next 20 years? Or would you rather go on a $12,000 vacation? Well, I feel like I need a vacation. Yeah, but would you rather live in stress every single day and be frustrated at your family because you have financial debt that's burying you day after day after day? Well, that's why I need a vacation. You need a vacation after you paid the debt off. Well, the debt's too big to pay off in 12 months. So pay it off faster. Find a side job and start working a plan that brings more money in that causes us to be able to create momentum in our life. Progress creates momentum. When we have no plan and we're just stagnant, we feel helpless. But when we actually initiate a plan that does work and has worked for millions and millions of people, progress starts to create motivation in our hearts and our minds because there's a point at which we think that we can't. And Henry Ford said it well when he said, whether you think you can or whether you think you cannot, you are 100% correct. And if you're going to start doing anything meaningful in life, Well, I need to create memories. No. First, you need to get free. Wouldn't it be amazing to owe no one anything at all? Wouldn't that be incredible? To know what no one anything anywhere. It would be because you're now free. Personal finance is about behavior. My behavior and your behavior. If we don't behave in the way that causes us to prosper, we won't prosper. But what we want is we want to behave whatever way we want and still prosper. But that's not the reality. That's not what works. The largest, the largest survey done by any organization in the world was done by Ramsey Solutions, and they did a huge survey that surveyed wealthy people all across North America. And they said, "What are the things that cause you to win with money?" I said, "Well, the first thing is having an emergency fund. The second thing is not having any consumer debt. And the third thing is paying off our home early." Those were the big things. Those were the three big things. And people who can work a plan can create momentum, and that creates hope in your life and in mine. So during this time when you're paying off your debt, there's no new debt allowed. You don't get any upgrades for anything, and there are no excuses. You are laser focused on this step. If you want to build wealth, must become laser focused on the things that take you there. And step number one is build the emergency fund. Step number two is get completely out of debt. Step number three is what we're going to roll into right now. Build a 3 to 6 months emergency fund. And this is based on what it is that your job, what it is that you do, and how likely it is, and how stable your job is. Now, I talked to some people, and their emergency fund only needs to be 3 months. They have a very stable job. They've been in this position for many, many years, and the odds of them losing it are very, very low. And their income, they've probably had the same income or slightly growing income for years and years. In that situation, you can go on the 3 month side. If you have a 3 to 6 months emergency fund, you're in the safety zone. Now, people say, what is a 3 to 6 months emergency fund? Well, I'm glad you asked. 3 to 6 months of emergency fund is 3 to 6 months of expenses. It's not 3 to 6 months of the exact amount of money that you make. It's when you have a budget that clearly states what your food, shelter, clothing, and all of your basic needs, utilities, and fuel to get to and from work, what your basic needs are, that calculated out for the next 3 to 6 months, depending on how safe your job is, how secure you are in your work, that gives you the number for your emergency fund. A lot of people, that's around $10,000, $15,000, maybe $20,000. You're like, well, my gosh, if I focus on getting $1,000, and then I focus on getting out of debt, and then I focus on making a 3 to 6 month emergency fund, I'll never get to investing. If you don't focus on these three things right now with your money, and you don't put it to work for you, you will have vastly less money when you retire than you ever hoped you would. But if you do these three things right now, because you're going to get on a written budget that helps you do them, then you will fast forward your ability to build wealth. And these things will keep your life moving forwards when the going gets tough. And it's gonna get tough. The survey says that every 7 to 8 years, every one of us in this human experience has a major financial or relational problem in our life. And that means it could range anywhere from $10,000 to $15,000. And if you have a problem right now that costs that much money, are you going to have enough money to actually cover it? Maybe not. And if you don't, who's going to be able to cover it? A credit card company? Well, that's great. That's a great plan. Take $15,000 of an unsecured loan or something from a credit card or the bank, owe 10% annual interest on this thing over the next 10 years. Well, you just lost a boatload of money. Not only did you lose the money that you actually had to pay for this thing that's emergency that came up, but you also lost all of the percentage that you could have made on that wealth over time. And so wealthy people understand percentage rates and how it impacts us long term. It's not sexy. It's not fun. It's not this kind of pizzazzy thing that you see everywhere on TikTok by some kind of arbitrage and selling, flipping everything and just becoming this incredible guru of finance. No, it's step by step, consistency from a plan that actually works that causes us to be able to win. And that's what I want for you. I want you to be able to win. That's why I didn't give you all the steps in this one series, in this one video today, because I think that it might overload you. It might discourage you if you have to sit through all of it. And so that's why you're going to have to show up next week at the same time in the same place to learn more about the other steps. So listen, step number one, it is the hardest, but it's also the easiest. If you get it, it creates a spark of hope. Step number two, pay off all of your debt. I know it's going to take 2 years. I know that. That's the average. People pay off their debt in about 12 to 18, up to 24 months if you've got a huge consumer debt load. But if you don't, it will stick around with you and eat at your wealth month after month after month. Did you know? Oh man, this is just so challenging sometimes to think about. It's like if people really understood this, there would be so many millionaires in America right now. If you just take 200 bucks every single month and put it in a mediocre investment. I'm not talking amazing. I'm talking S&P 500 index fund. And you just do that year after year after year, and you make the average that it's made 10 to 11%. Let's say you make 11%. You have over $1 million by the time you're 65. And it was $200 a month, and you never did anything else. I hope you like the TV. I hope you like the car. I hope you like whatever that thing is that has that 20% interest rate that you're paying to another company and not to your own life. You can actually get more than 10 to 11%. You can get, like, I've had some years where our portfolios have done 25 plus, 25%. Yeah, that's possible. But the average over time, it's 12 plus for our portfolio. And you can do that too. If you have that in your life and it's coming to you instead of going away from you every month, you'd be amazed at the amount of wealth that can be built. So, this is a concept that wealthy people understand, that we put into practice day in and day out, that causes us to prosper. We don't pay other people and them their interest rates. We get that interest back to ourselves as fast as possible, which means breaking down all the consumer debt. And then we build up an actual buffer between us and life called an emergency fund, a fully funded emergency fund that is 3 to 6 months, depending on how secure your job is. And then we go and attack the other steps. And we'll get to those in the next session. And what is the big thing that changes? The big, massive, ugly, hairy thing that changes is you stop living afraid. I don't know if I could put a price on that. If my home started to be less dramatic, if my conversations with my wife didn't always have to center around money because we're so afraid that we don't have enough, if every time I come home, I can't look at my spouse in the eye because I feel ashamed, because I don't know what to do. And if that's you right now, and if you're in that scary spot, I hope you follow this channel, because I'm going to show you exactly how to get out of that situation. Now, I've been broke and I've been scared before, but these steps that I talk about on this channel are what gets you through. And I hope you like the video, subscribe to the channel, that you make sure that you don't miss a moment. Because as we work through step after step, and I'm going to get to very specific questions for people as we go through this, answer some of the hardest questions that people have about their managing their financial situations and working through those things as we go forward and as we work through this financial stuff together. But if you commit to doing a plan that works, you'll be able to look at your wife with joy and hope in your eyes and in hers. You'll be able to
Question
not be
on the
stressed at your
chat.
children. Sorry? Oh,
Question
thank you very
on.
much. Yes. Hold on. I'll get to your question in just a minute. but you'll be able to look at your spouse with courage and strength and hope. And you'll be able to look and play with your children out in the yard without sitting inside being worried over your checkbook or over your bank account, trying to figure out how you can actually make ends meet. And that to me is worth more than anything. Let me answer this question from the TikTok chat. Should I pay my house off because of interest? Listen, the house goes into a separate step. When I talked about step two in this series in this video today, I talked about step two intentionally saying consumer debt only, because all house and apartment, look, you're living, the mortgage for your home or your apartment, that's in another step. So that is not listed in the smallest to largest debts. Okay, that is not even considered in step number two. The home is in a completely separate category. So let's focus only on step number one, save $1,000. Step number two, that is list your debts smallest to largest, pay off the small, pay minimum balances on everything, pay off the smallest one first, and create a snowball effect to pay everything off. I don't care about the interest rates. And then we'll get to paying off our house in another session, and you're not going to want to miss that as well. So no, this is not in these three steps, we are not considering house our living our mortgage in any way whatsoever. Okay, so make sure you like and subscribe and you follow us, because you're not going to want to miss when I talk about that in another session. So this step is only about starting to transform you from plans that don't work to plans that absolutely, without a shadow of a doubt, absolutely will work and will work for you and cause your life to be better. If you could, yes, by the way, if you could please share a little bit more information about the exact question that you have, I will be happy to share a little, maybe like if you have something that's more specific, maybe I could help you with a more direct answer about that. I didn't think about that at the moment, but my team member said, "Hey, why don't you just go ahead and ask if they have any more information?" And if that is the case, please go ahead and add it. Okay, so you stop living scared, and to me, that's worth everything. So I can look at my spouse again. I can play with my children again. I can rejoice in my home again, and I can live with confidence and hope about the future. So the result is this: you have order, a plan that works, you have control over your finances, and you have peace in your life and in your home. And I honestly, I can't put a price on that. I don't know if you can, I can't, but I can't put a price on those three things. So I encourage you to stick with us as we drive through these financial lessons. I really hope that you drop your specific questions in the chat, and I will answer them either live, or I will send you a written message back to help you work through the challenges that you might be facing financially. And if you're wondering, what should I do? This is a variation. This isn't doesn't exactly fall into the things that you just talked about. I don't know what step this would go in and how and what order to put this in. If that's the case, please, please help me out in this situation. Just share the details of your situation, and I will give you an exact answer where that falls in and how you can move forwards in that area. Um, Thank you so much with letting us know that you're good with the steps. I think that was on TikTok here, but yes, thank you very very much, and I hope these three steps help. Start with these three steps. If you do them, I guarantee. If you're not doing them and you start doing them, life will get better 1 zillion% of the time, and that's a pretty dang good percentage. So anytime you can give 1 zillion% guarantee, that is a really good percentage rate. Most people skipped up step number one. Guys, before I end this thing here, I just want you to know that you can't do the steps out of order. If you do them out of order, you will sabotage your success in the future. And so many of us are trying to do that. We try to do the steps out of order, and because of that, we sabotage our future success. You can't do them out of order. Start with step one, $1,000 in the bank. Start with then do step two. Don't do step two until you're done with step one. Just pay minimum payments on all of those debts until your step one is done. Sell everything that you possibly can to make it a reality. Then step two, pay off all your consumer debt. There's so many people who never live with the reality that they had no consumer debt. In fact, my family members of mine, they get in and out of consumer debt, and I watched them all their life, and it vastly impacted the joy in the home. And I could see that time and time again. And there's constant fighting. And that's a life of frustration and fighting is not worth it. Step number two, pay off all of your consumer debt. And step number three, save a 3 to 6 months emergency fund. And that is all your expenses, your basic expenses to survive, nothing extra, not saving $500 a month to go on a vacation, nothing extra. The basic expenses to survive in your current condition after all consumer debt is paid off, times 3 to 6, depending on how secure your job is. And now we can have a fully funded emergency fund and we're ready to charge into the next step, which is what we'll get into next week. Thank you so much for joining the masterclass. I hope that you learned something. I hope that you feel some of the intensity in my voice and maybe the emotions. I hope they somehow get through the screen and get through the audio to you because I really care deeply about these things because they have kept me safe when things were scary and they have launched me forwards when we're going up the mountain. And now the interest works for us and is like a trampoline sending us to the next level rather than working against us, pushing us further and deeper into debt that depresses the soul and crushes the spirit. So, like the live, follow the channel, and I look forward to talking with you about finances and helping you win with your money going forwards into this next week. Thanks again for spending time with me. If you've got any other questions, you can drop them in the chat. If you're watching this after the live on YouTube is over, please go ahead and drop them in the comment section, and we will be sure to get those and get a reply to you on your exact situation. Just share the details. Share the details about what's going on with you. Thanks again, and I look forward to serving you next week.